Let me show you an example of using a dictionary, actually of creating and then using a dictionary. And I'm going to use an example of simply wanting to analyze song lyrics. I want to see how often does a word appear in a lyric, for example. So I'm going to write 3 functions to do this. They're reasonably straightforward functions, and it's going to let you see how we use dictionaries to capture information in a valuable way. So first I'm going to create a frequency dictionary that's going to map strings to integers. The idea is that given a set of lyrics for a song, I'm going to walk down it, and for each word, each string, I'm going to count basically how many times it actually appears inside of that lyric. So the dictionary is going to be that association of a word and number of appearances. And once I've created that dictionary, then I can do things like find the word that occurs the most often and how many times it does that. Here I'm going to use a list in case there's more than one word that occurs the same number of times. And so I'm going to return a tuple, another data structure, that has inside of it a list for the set of words and an integer for how often did that set of words, each of one of them, appear inside the lyrics. And then finally, I'm going to find the words that occur at least some number of times. I'm going to let the user choose that minimum amount, so it'll be a parameter. And then I'm going to return a list of tuples, where each tuple is one of those list int combinations that contains the list of words ordered by their frequency. And one of the things I'm going to do here is take advantage of a property of the dictionaries. From the song dictionary, I'm going to find the most frequent word, and then I'm just going to delete it, and I'm going to repeat. And because I'm mutating the song dictionary as I do it, it's going to actually pull together very nicely an efficient way to solve this problem. So let's start with the first stage. I need to create a dictionary. Here's a function that will do it. I'm going to call it lyrics to frequencies. Sounds reasonable. Lyrics will just be a string of words separated by spaces, potentially other kinds of things. I'm going to create an empty dictionary. There are the curly braces that do that. And then I'm going to just iterate over the lyrics, getting each word out as I do it. And what I'm going to do is say, if the word is already in the dictionary, and oh, there's that nice thing. I'm using the fact that I can treat the dictionary as an iterable. I can just say, if the word's already in the dictionary, increase the value associated with it by 1. Oh, that says I've already got a value there somewhere, and that's okay because it says if the word is not in the dictionary, this is the first time I've seen the word, I'm going to set the value in the dictionary corresponding to that word to 1. And once I've gone through that entire loop, I'll simply return the dictionary. On my computer, I've got a version of that code, and I've got a song. Now, even though I used Justin Bieber earlier on, I'm of a different generation. I like the Beatles. So I've got a classic old Beatles song, She Loves You. It's also a nice song because it's got a lot of repetition of the characters in it. And I've got the entire lyrics to She Loves You actually set up over here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually load this and run it. And when I do that, I'm going to basically say, what does Beatles look like? And Beatles was set up to be the lyrics to frequencies called on She Loves You. And there's a piece of it. It's actually much longer than you'd expect because it's got, just to show you all the pieces there are all the words in She Loves You as a dictionary associated with their frequency. Okay, with that in mind, I've now got a dictionary of frequencies. That's pretty cool. What else do I need to do? Just to remind you, I can iterate over the list. I can iterate over the dictionary. Those are really handy things to do. I can update a value associated with the key. All things that I wanted to be able to do inside of that dictionary. Second thing I want to do now is I want to find the most common words, given the dictionary's input. So here's how I will do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the values out from that dictionary. Getting values is a method, so I'm going to call it with the open close paren. And that gives me back a set of values. I know those values are all ints, so I can get the most common number very easily. I just apply max to values. I want to stop here for a second because I want to point out a nice thing. I could have written an iterative loop that walked down this, trying to keep track of what's the best number I've seen so far, updating as I went along. It's a perfectly reasonable way to write the code. but it would have generated a lot of code. It would have made it harder to read. Here, in 2 lines, I've captured the idea I want. Give me all the values in the dictionary. It's now a collection of integers. Just give me the maximum value. Really nice. Now that I know the best, I need to find all the words that have that value. And here I will write the iterative loop. I'm going to set words up initially to be an empty list. And then for everything in the dictionary, I'm going to check. Does that entry have the value best? In other words, is it one of the most common words? And if it is, there's that nice mutation of words. Just add it to the end of the list. And when I'm done, I'm just going to return words and best. So over here, I've got my Beatles as that set of frequencies. And so I could say, give me W and B. I know it's going to return a tuple to be most common words in what I already did is the analysis of that song. And it says the most common words that occur in that song, again, not particularly surprising, A, like, her, and with. And how often do they occur? They each occur 4 times. Okay? So I've just found that out. That sounds pretty good. Now, what else could I do with this? Well, I said I wanted to find the places in which they occur most often, and I find all of those that occur more than some amount of time. So the last function I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a function that says find words that occur often in this. Again, I'm going to set up an empty list initially. And here I'm going to create a little flag. And the flag is initially set to false. Because I'm going to run through a loop here. And the loop says, as long as I've still got something to do, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find, as I just did, the most common words in the dictionary. And if they occur more than the minimum number of times that I've set, I'm going to add them into my result. And then, for everything in that word, I'm going to remove it from the dictionary. So let me say it again. I'm going to say, given I've done the analysis, find the most common word. I don't know how many times it occurs, but I'm going to find them. As long as they occur more than the minimum I've set, then I'm going to collect those, because that's part of what I want to have. And then I'm going to remove them from the dictionary. So I'm mutating the dictionary right here, which is really nice. Because once I've done that, I could go back around and do it again. And I'm going to keep doing that until when I pull out the most common words, they don't exceed my threshold, in which case I'm going to set that flag to true, which means when I go back around to the loop, it's going to say, oh, I'm done, and I'm going to simply return the result. And if I do that over here, in fact, what I get, if I do words often of Beatles and I want everything that occurs more than 5 times in that structure, I get nothing. Now that's a puzzle. And why is it a puzzle? And the puzzle is because I did something that I should have remembered I did, and that is that I actually processed this multiple times. So let me start again by going back to this file and reloading it, because I actually mutated the structures as I went through them. And that's why when I said what were the most common words, it was just A, like, her, and with only occurring 4 times. I'd already changed the structure. Now if I do it the right way, you see, not surprisingly, what occurs most often in she loves you? Yeah. The word you, 36 times. The word yeah, 28 times. She, 20 times. Love, 13, and so on. All right, early Beatles weren't very imaginative with their lyrics. But what you've seen is how I can use a dictionary to, in fact, do analysis, take advantage of the iterable structure of the dictionary. And if you think about the 3 functions I wrote here, they're very simple, they're very crisp, and they very nicely capture exactly the computation I wanted to do.